Moin and welcome to our newest edition of Luci TV. We are here in Vianden. It's a small and charming hamlet in the heart of the Éislek, as we Luxembourgers like to call this region, the north of Luxembourg. And as you can see, Vianden is surrounded by beautiful forests and idyllic landscapes. And I have to tell you, in 2019, CNN listed Vianden Castle as being one of the 21 most beautiful castles in the world. So what can you expect from us today? We are going to take you on a ride to a few of the most beautiful castles in our country. Some have even become hotels. These castles are surrounded by beautiful landscapes, and therefore we will also show you some of our many diverse and new hiking trails here in Luxembourg. And last but not least, we take you to our beautiful capital. Parts of the old city are classified as a Unesco World Heritage Site, thus being an important magnet for tourists. And towards the end, we will show you what LFT, Luxembourg for Tourism, can do for you. The LFT is continuously evolving, and what is the most important thing for us? It's your opinion, and that's why throughout the course of this program we are going to ask you to participate in a few surveys. So let's take a test right now. You will see on your screen a pop-up with a QR code. Please scan it with your mobile phone and we're going to test you straight away. So my first questions in this survey is this: what theme, which topic, which activity is most likely to interest your customers when they visit our country? First topic today: castles. Vianden Castle is really impressive, and as you see, it is magical. You really think that you're in the middle of a fairy tale, that you could cross paths with some knights and some ladies. And Vianden has also drawn many interesting people over the past decades, for example, the French author Victor Hugo. You can explore these castles in many different ways. You can either take the classical guided tour, or you can visit the medieval festival, which is super interesting, by the way. And then you should not forget there are many events being hosted in the castle and outside of the castle walls, and they are being organized by the Friends of Vianden Castle. And we are now going to talk to Josy Bassing. He's a member of this club. Bonjour, Josy.
Moin.
Hello, hello. So with me is now Josy Bassing. He is a member of the Friends of Vianden Castle. And yeah, Josy, what is for you the most fascinating thing about this castle?
You must not ask that somewhere from Vianden. I have lived all my life here and grew up with this castle. That's the most important castle in the world for us. But the castle is very fascinating for all its contradictories, and we can do such beautiful things here.
And, you know, without a doubt, the kitchen is at the core of this castle. Can you tell me, why do you think that the kitchen is so important here in Vianden?
Yes, actually we had 3 kitchens inside, one for the soldiers, one for the wives, and one for the noble family which lived here. The main kitchen, the stately kitchen, and this is, yes, it's the heart of the house.
And we can also maybe talk like a kitchen is more of a, yeah, let's say a place where there are many people around. Let's talk about more intimate places like the bedroom. Do you have any fascinating anecdotes about the bedroom of this castle?
Well, the bedroom was actually the birthplace of the dynasty of the Orange Nassau. They were conceived here.
I did not know that. It's actually a very interesting fact. So all over the year, we have many events going on inside the castle and maybe outside of the walls as well. But inside the castle, the members, or the Friends of the Vianden Castle, are organizing many things. What is your personal highlight? Well,
we have 3 big family events during the year. Portail Temporis in June, the Medieval Festival in July, August, and the Paper Festival in September. But my favorite is Portail Temporis in June.
Thank you very much, Josy Bassing, for this exceptional and maybe extraordinary tour of this castle.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but before we go inside to our guests, we are now here in Vianden, but in the Grand Duchy there are many beautiful castles. And castles, they are magical places, mystical places, but you can also feel right at home inside a castle.
A rose is a rose is a rose. A castle is a castle, is a castle. A castle is poetry cast in stone. Everyone who visits castles and fortresses in Luxembourg can feel it. The spirit of the past whistles around their walls, and the history of many ages stands on their foundations. And more than that. Small ferns and flowers blossom in stone cracks. Birds nest between battlements, and bats live hidden in the towers. Lizards scurry across the paths. Bees buzz in the garden. Plants and animals are the daily companions of the castle's lords and visitors. It was like that in the Middle Age and in the Renaissance. And it is still like that today. Here was a place of life, love, joy, pain, and battle. All those within these walls have marked the country and its people. They have shaped politics and everyday life. The buildings are as varied as their lives and activities. And so are the experiences of today's visitors. This castle's owner seems to have just walked out the door, as though she were just taking a walk through her rose garden before coming back to continue reading her book. This fortress seems to rise among the whole world, surrounded by hills strong and impregnable. The defiant walls are doubly reinforced and closed to enemies, but always open to guests, whether for Victor Hugo or other travelers in search of beauty and inspiration. This castle looks like something out of a fairy tale, where you can almost hear the knight's armor clattering and smell the aroma of roast chicken in the castle kitchen. A living museum with a far-reaching view over nature's raw beauty. These are the ruins which can be vividly grasped even without eyesight. Be it crypt or observation tower, fruit cultivation or the dark chapter of a witch burning. There is the garden in which you can get lost in daydreams. Where the path leads through the labyrinth and inside your own thoughts. Where stages contemplate the scenery with timeless patience and where herbs and flowers are fragrant. Luxembourg's castles are also a perfect scene for art and culture, music and dance, for inspiring gatherings and celebrations. They are witnesses to a rich past, and at the same time, they are symbols of how the world has become more open and colorful, of how the country offers a home to many cultures and ideas. And in some of Luxembourg's castles, you can even sleep, eat, relax, and recharge in a place where old walls meet new outlooks. You can discover different and mysterious worlds and still feel at home. Whether enchanting ruins or lovingly restored, all castles and palaces have one thing in common in Luxembourg. They are nestled in a charming and unique landscape, which invites you to take a deep breath. Venerable walls in view, fresh thoughts in mind. A castle is more than just a castle.
And we are now inside the castle of Vianden. I am not alone here. I welcome my guests, Boris Fuge of the Luxembourg City Museum, Luc REIS of Sightseeing.lu, and Isabelle Hermes of the Regional Tourism Office Guttland. Welcome.
Welcome.
So, Isabelle, castles are really at the heart of the Guttland, and the Guttland is also very, very famous for the Valley of the Seven Castles. What can a traveler actually expect there?
Yes. The Guttland region is located at the heart of Luxembourg, so really close to the capital city. It's kind of like the garden of Luxembourg city, and it's especially known for its historic heritage, like the castles, and also for its nature, so it can be perfectly explored by foot or by bike, for example. And it is also a region that's perfect for slow tourism because it really invites you to slow down, to take a breath, and to really recharge your batteries.
Take a deep breath, that's always a good thing for tourists.
Exactly, exactly. And one of the main attractions is the Valley of the Seven Castles. But you have to know that not all castles can be visited. However, those that can be visited are really worth the visit. Like we saw a few in the video. For example, we have the garden of the Castle of Luxembourg. They are really worth a visit like the whole year through. In every season, in winter, in autumn, in spring, in summer, it's always lovely. And then you have, for example, the castle in Courage, which has recently been renovated and now houses a lot of cultural events throughout the year.
But Isabelle, there are not only castles in the Valley of the Seven Castles. I think the Guttland has many more to offer.
Yes, exactly. Luxembourg has many castles to offer, but also the Guttland region has many castles to offer. Not far from the Valley of the Seven Castles, we have Useldange Castle, which is also a castle that has a very particular charm. And I think that's also what makes the castles in Luxembourg so nice to enjoy, because they are all different, so it's worth visiting a lot of them. And the castle in Useldange has a trail, an educational trail that was specifically designed for people with a visual impairment. But I think it's really lovely to discover the castle through that trail for everyone, basically. And then after the visit of the castle, when you're in Useldange, you can actually spend a few days there, because you can rent a bike and discover the region by bike, or you can just go a few kilometers further and then you can go hiking on our new Guttland trail. Like we have established a few Guttland trails in our region, and they really represent the most beautiful trails of the region. And then also just a few kilometers from Useldange, you have Rinschleiden. Rinschleiden is the smallest village of Luxembourg. Actually, it has one inhabitant and a few cats and 2 pigs that live there. And you have a rural museum, Tinnenvogtei, where you can discover how people lived in the countryside of Luxembourg 100 years ago.
So you just said before, there are multiple things to do in the Guttland, and actually you would love to stay there maybe for a night or 2. Is there a special recommendation that you can give the tourists to stay in your region?
Yes, actually in Useldange itself, in 2019, a very special hotel has opened. It's the Ecolodge Pecelauer that you can also see in the video. The Ecolodge Pecelauer has actually 9 comfortable hotel rooms, but what's really the highlight, of course, are the wooden lodges in form of a mushroom on a pile where you can sleep. And it's really lovely for nature lovers, and it's right next to the Atlas River, so it's very special. And they also have a restaurant where they serve local food, and you can sit on the terrace right next to the river, so it's lovely.
And it's definitely an accommodation that you would recommend for people with families, I guess.
Exactly, yes, definitely.
So not only the Guttland has exceptional accommodation to offer, but there are many, many more all through the country. But first we're going to start in the south.
Also ich bin der Pascal Zimmer, ich bin hier in Luxemburg geboren und ich bin hier in Château de Clemency im Raum, den wir Sherlocks nennen. Man wollte einen Raum machen, der bis in diese Zeit, zweite Hälfte des 19. Jahrhunderts in England so verarbeitet, von der Dekoration, vom Vibe, vom Ambiente bis in diese viktorianische Zeit und sind dann irgendwie so ins Sherlock-Thema reingerutscht, weil es interessant ist. Man kann das natürlich sehr gut verarbeiten und in jedem Raum kriegt man, wenn man will natürlich und wenn man offenporig ist, kriegt man eine Inspiration, kriegt man vielleicht eine andere Sichtweise auf so viele Sachen, die das Leben ausmachen. Und die Leute sagen, hier kommst du mal rein und du bist einfach mal da. Das heißt, du bist jetzt nicht, dass du jetzt sofort rumrennen musst und bis du dann heute so abends so spät wie möglich reinkommen und ins Bett gehen und morgens in der Dusche nehmen kannst. Sondern es ist auch davon einfach mal dieses Verweilen vielleicht. Ja.
So just now we have been in the south, we have also seen a very particular accommodation in the Guttland, and thus we cannot forget the beautiful north of our country. In the Éislek we have passed as well, and there's a very particular accommodation in a castle.
Bonjour, je suis Diana, nous nous situons dans la salle de gala du Château d'Urspelt.
Bonjour, je suis Yannick, bienvenue au Château.
On a eu la chance de développer cet hôtel. D'abord, je pense vraiment que développer un projet, c'est l'aimer profondément. Donc, on a vraiment profité de chaque instant du développement du château pour créer de la magie pour nos clients, pour y donner vraiment ce qu'ils ressentaient de mieux quand ils arrivaient dans un hôtel.
C'est sûr qu'un château, ça représente quelque chose de très classique, de très établi, de très ancien, mais on voulait vraiment quand même que ce soit un lieu très vivant. Et donc on a pris certaines évolutions, certaines créations, certaines voies de réflexion qui sont assez innovatrices avec des concepts un peu tendance cool, avec des nouvelles façons de concevoir l'espace, des nouvelles façons de concevoir nos bars, des lieux vraiment dédiés à la fête, à la célébration. Et voilà, donc le but premier, c'est avant tout de tenir nos promesses et de créer plus que simplement fournir des lits ou fournir des plats, mais c'est vraiment créer des souvenirs pour nos clients.
Well, definitely a big wow for that. You've seen how comfortable our castles can be, our hotels can be. And actually, if this has encouraged you to take a closer look, fret not. By the end of this program, you might have the chance to win a relaxing stay at the Château d'Urspelt, the one you have just seen. But therefore, you need to pay attention. You will have to answer a question at the end, as I promised. And because I've been talking about questions, if there is anything that pops up in your mind and you would like to ask us another question, please don't hesitate and do that. Email it to us at trade@lft.lu. I'm just going to repeat it, trade@lft.lu. And this is now time to take a look at the results of our first survey. And we wanted to know what would interest your clients most. So I'm going to take a look at it right now, and it's going to pop up in a few seconds. Oh, we can see it's definitely culture, hiking, castles, nature, history, well, everything we would expect when we talk about Luxembourg. But first and foremost, hiking. It's not a surprise. Luxembourg is a perfect place for hiking, and therefore we will immediately proceed to the second survey of today's program. Give us, please, an estimation. How many % of your clients would actually be interested in hiking in our country? So please answer the questions in our second survey. I'm going to ask you again, give us an estimation. How many % of your clients are actually interested in hiking in our beautiful Grand Duchy? Which brings me, obviously, to the second topic of today. After the castles, we are going to talk about hiking. So, as I said before, Luxembourg is home to so many different hiking trails honestly, I could talk hours about it. I love to hike. I think my guests do too. So I just picked out a few of my favorite trails to give you an example of what Luxembourg has to offer. So 112 kilometers of the Müllertal Trail. The Müllertal is known as Little Switzerland, so you can imagine it's quite hilly. It's a good leg training there. And then 106 kilometers of the Escape Ardennes. As you hear, Ardennes, it's crossing the Luxembourgish and the Belgian Ardennes. And I've done this one twice. Why? Because it's really lovely, it's beautiful, it's wild. You cross rivers, you go through fields. It's perfect if you are having a bit of an adventurous spirit. And then we have 2 leading quality trails, for example, Best of Europe quality trails, and a 19-kilometer Minette trail in the south of our country, in what we call the Terre Rouge. And then, last but not least, we have a new project in the north of the country, which is called Éislek Paths, and it's called, in English, Éislek Paths. Take a look at it.
Im Éislek gibt es 18 Éislek Paths. Das sind die allerschönsten Wanderwege hier in der Region, die ganz besonderen Kriterien entsprechen. Das heißt, ganz viel Natur, ganz viel tolle Highlights, Ausblicke, Burgen, Schlösser, Flüsse, Seen natürlich. Ja, das sind die Éislek Paths. Ich bin Tim und ich bin Projektleiter des Projekts Qualitätswanderregion Éislek und ich arbeite jetzt seit 4,5 Jahren daran, aus dem wunderschönen Éislek eine Qualitätswanderregion zu machen.
Ich bin den Erik und ich bin seit gut 2 Jahren dabei und ich unterstütze den Team eben beim Projekt Qualitätswanderregion Éislek.
Alle Wanderwege neu geplant. Daraus sind dann unter anderem diese 18 Éislek Paths entstanden, aber insgesamt sind es ja, rund 200 Rundwege und ja, die bilden halt alle zusammen die hoffentlich bald ausgezeichnete Qualitätswanderregion Éislek. Und wir haben überall die tollen Wegweiser an den Kreuzungspunkten, wo die Ziele beschrieben sind.
Éisleker Koppen, das Grüne, dann das Wasser, was durch die Region fließt und eben oben die Sonne.
Ja, und das bildet halt die Wanderregion und ja, wir sind auch sehr stolz darauf.
So, das ist die neue Éislek Wanderlust-Broschüre. In der Broschüre ist für jeden Weg auch ein QR-Code drin und den kann man dann ganz leicht einfach fotografieren und dann kommt man auf Komoot. Da hat man dann die Tour und ja, kann sich da ganz leicht navigieren lassen. Hier in der Touristinfo im Naturpark hat man dann auch eine Auswahl an sehr verschiedenen Produkten regionaler Hersteller und kann die auch gerne hier kaufen.
Ja, und ich hoffe, wir haben dem Ganzen jetzt noch mal so ein bisschen einen Schub gegeben und hoffen, dass es sich die nächsten Jahre gut entwickelt und dann auch alle touristischen Akteure davon profitieren, dass wir hier diese tolle Wanderregion aufgebaut haben.
So after this beautiful video of our new project, Éislek Paths, we are going to take a look at the results of our last survey, where we wanted to know how many % of your clients would be interested in hiking in our beautiful country. So we're going to take a look at the results. Yes, and there are 38% of you think that people will be interested to hike in the Grand Duchy, and I think this percentage could even be a bit higher because we see that so many people come to our beautiful country to hike, but maybe not only, but we'll talk about that later. So, REIS, Sightseeing.lu, what hiking packages do you have on offer for people who are interested in coming to the Grand Duchy?
Yeah, so I think that it's not so easy to offer fixed packages because of the diversity of the country. We are more oriented to work on demand, to customize these packages. So the requests are very diverse. They are coming from hiking to e-biking, maybe also sometimes a few steps in the city. But of course, we work together with the local tourism offices in the country. And on our website, we will find current offers, combined hiking with also city trips, mainly aimed in the city of the culture of Ash 2022 for the moment, but whereas for 23 new offers are in work.
So you try to stay flexible, but we also know, as we saw before, that there are so many different places in Luxembourg for hiking. So you could go to the north or the south or to the Müllertal or the Guttland. How do hikers get around comfortably?
Yeah, so they have a product that's called Move We Carry. So then they leave in the morning the hotel and then pick up his stuff and his luggages and bring it from A to B, so that in the evening the luggage is still there. But for groups, we can also do it with a tour bus or with a bigger coach. For the other one, the small Move You Carry is good for families or for singles who have a trip and if they are without a car.
So the U-Move We Carry is perfect for people who have like big backpacks and they might just want to go out for a day hike with a small backpack. You will carry the big ones from hotel to hotel.
Yeah,
right.
So that is.
Perfect. So what we saw before, hiking is not the only thing that interests the tourists who come to the Grand Duchy. Usually they, it popped up, city trips are quite popular as well. Is there a possibility to combine both, like hiking and city trips?
Yeah, so if you don't want to overload with hiking, so you can also do a day at the city in Luxembourg. I think if you stay in the north of this Éislek Paths, you can take a train in Clairvaux and you can down with free public transport to the city. Every hour you have some trains, so the possibility to move in the country is easy. But if you have a stay in the country, you can get in the city. You can get out at the Moselle or in the north to have some hiking trips for a day or half day, or you have also fixed day tours where you can also offer up from the city to the north or to the Moselle to offer this kind of visits.
So actually hiking is not, as I said, the only thing that interests our tourists. The city trips are quite popular, and this leads me to our next survey. So what is important for your clients when they want to book a city trip? So it's an important question, I think, because there are many different options. What is important to your clients when they book a city trip? And city trip in Luxembourg usually means Luxembourg City, our capital city, our beautiful capital city. And when we talk about Luxembourg City, we usually talk about the UNESCO World Heritage sites. And as I said before, Luxembourg City, our beautiful capital city, is unique, not only due to its long 1,000-year-old history, but also because it's a real melting pot of cultures. Actually, 70% of the population of Luxembourg City are foreigners. Many people are always surprised when they hear this, but it's true. So the city is a melting pot, and this shapes the capital in many different ways. So when you take a walk, you can explore it, and you can see how our city is shaped when you take a beautiful walk through Luxembourg capital city.
Moyen, I am Carlotta, and this is Luxembourg, my city. Some people say the city is small, but from my point of view, it is full of great treasures. Today, I want to show Julie and Ella some of the attractions.
Ah oui, c'est joli. Hein. Mais c'est pas Carlotta là-bas, t'as vu?
Allez, viens, on va la voir.
Oui, bonjour Carlotta. Salut Anna.
Donc, bienvenue Luxembourg. Je vous présente le Grund.
Super.
Aujourd'hui, on a plein de choses à découvrir.
Génial, on te suit.
Allons-y, let's go.
1, 2, 3.
In the Grund district, at the foot of the book Casemates, the first sightseeing highlight is already waiting for us. Melusina, the mermaid and wife of Count Siegfried, the founder of Luxembourg. The small fortress built by Siegfried, which later became Luxembourg City, has its roots here. The Grund district is a beautiful place to stroll around. Many flowers bloom around the former Benedictine Abbey of Neumünster. There are many fruits and wines growing too.
Donc là, on a le rocher du Boc. Et j'ai apporté une petite surprise pour vous. J'ai apporté un guide sur Luxembourg.
Génial.
Et là, on est au circuit Wenzler. Genre, on voit là, le paysage.
Ok.
Et tu veux choisir une destination pour nous?
Oui. On va où alors?
Oui, je vais aller là.
Wow. Super. On y va?
Oui.
Oui, allez.
We keep admiring the rock of the book Casemates. Soldiers hide from attackers in the underground galleries. It's not easy to imagine that this place was once a battleground. Everything is so green and peaceful. What I especially like about this place are the dreamy surroundings. The greenery, the river, and you can see different levels of the city, from above and below at the same time. Everyone feels comfortable here. I also like travelers because I'm very interested in people from other countries. On every street corner you hear different languages and everyone is welcome. Luxembourg has always been intertwined with a history of strong women. Melusina, the mermaid, was only the first. Countess Charlotte encouraged the people of Luxembourg during the Second World War. Even today, situated in the heart of the city, the Grand Ducal Palace represents the unity and stability of our nation. That we have something of our own and that at the same time we welcome people from all over the world. I found the old walls fascinating. I'm really proud that our city's old town is an Unesco World Heritage Site.
Regardez les filles ce que j'ai trouvé. J'ai téléchargé cette application. En fait, c'est une application qui donne une information géolocalisée des monuments de la ville. Donc par exemple ici, on voit, c'est la Golden Lady et ça commémore les personnes qui sont décédées de la Première Guerre mondiale. Aujourd'hui, ça symbolise la liberté et la résistance du peuple luxembourgeois.
Right here, under the Golden Lady, you can walk through the page with Casemates. You have to imagine that these underground galleries were carved as a subterranean defense system for soldiers. And then I can't help but chuckle because there have never been soldiers down here. But they have celebrated many parties and have sorted champagne bottles here. They have also grown mushrooms here. It was a peaceful place, and it still is. And we can be grateful for that. I am glad that the Casemates have opened again. From my point of view, everyone can experience Luxembourg's history, even better right here. I like to visit the City Museum to show visitors our city's history. It is possible to see precisely how the small fortress became a great fortified city. Because Luxembourgers of the past always feared that other countries could lay claim on Luxembourg. But that belongs to the past. Today we are happy to welcome visitors. We Luxembourgers love our homeland and we like to share this love. See you soon in my city.
So now I hope that this video has encouraged you to visit our beautiful city. But now is a perfect time to take a look at the results of our last survey, where we wanted to know what is important to your clients when they visit a city. And this is a perfect result, 96% culture. 74% gastronomy. Perfect. In Luxembourg City, there are many, many very, very good restaurants. Some even have Michelin stars. If you are more of a gourmet, you might find your share of food there. So if we talk culture, I have to take a closer look to Boris Fuge of the Luxembourg City Museum. In the video, we saw the casemates, we saw part of the Grund, but what else does the City Museum offer to clients when they are interested in culture?
So I would say that the Luxembourg City Museum is the perfect place, the perfect complement for your visit of the old town of Luxembourg. No matter if you come with a group or as an individual visitor, we offer to tourists, more in particular, a permanent exhibition which is entitled the Luxembourg Story. And this exhibition, which is totally accessible, so it's very easy to understand, gives you the keys for a much better understanding of what you see on your walk through the city, where you will encounter historical monuments, inscriptions, buildings on almost every corner, and of course many remains of the old fortress. For those who are interested to know even more about the history of the city, we have a mobile application available at the museum, which is for free, and which gives you even more detailed information about the exhibits and the collections. And of course, it can also serve as a guide, even with a guided tour for kids. Finally, I would like to add something very particular about the Luxembourg museums, the museums in the city of Luxembourg. All of them are closely linked to history through their buildings. Either they are installed in historical buildings like old monasteries or building houses of the nobility, or they are built on, so it's new buildings built on historical sites like remains of the fortress.
So now you've talked about these other museums, so there are many other museums actually in our capital, and there is a museum's mile even.
Exactly. So we call the museum's mile a kind of trail where you will find all the 7 big museums in the city. There are even more, but the most important, you will find them on this museum's mile. So, which is a trail which is more or less 1 mile long. If you want, you can do it on foot, but you can also use public transport. The 7 museums cover a large diversity of topics, of exhibitions, permanent or temporary. You will find archaeology and history, but you will also, if you are an art lover, there is old master paintings, but there is also a lot of contemporary art. And finally, there is also a museum dedicated to the natural history, which is very popular among families with kids.
Yeah, because it's very interactive, and that's when I start looking at REIS, because Sightseeing.lu, you always try to be innovative and to find new ways for tourists who visit our city to experience it. What new stuff do you have on offer, actually?
Yeah, so today Sightseeing.lu offer a product that you can use on your cell phone. So it's a digital city map who's free. And in this site, we offer also some tours where you can do autonomously on your own. So what you on your audio guides in 5 different languages. Whose most important is German, French, English, Netherlands and Luxembourgish also if you want to learn the language. And it's a hybrid model between a life guide and digitalization. The tourist, he can explore the city on his own pace. And if you go through the city, you can apply it, Isabelle told it also, slow tourism in the city. You can do it also there, sit down, have an espresso and look,
take some time,
and check for the locals and how Luxembourgish people lived in the city.
That's the locals do, they say.
That's the local do, yeah. And you can also do these tours with an e-bike tour or explore the mile, the museum's mile with the e-bike is also an opportunity if you want to do it with your bike, with your e-bikes. We can also offer this offer. And new practically starts on May. It's a virtual reality tour. You can discover the Pfaffenthal district in the year 1876. For 50 minutes, you have a virtual tour in the whole Pfaffenthal district where you can see how people lived there 400 years ago. And you can also use the train to visit the other part of Luxembourg City. And it worth it.
So we just heard it. Virtual reality is one way to experience our city, but then, you know, it's always a bit better if you are there live. If you take a look at a city, you can feel how it feels like. You can take the time to drink an espresso. There was many things to do, and actually the LFT, Luxembourg for Tourism, has quite a nice offer. It takes you on a fam trip, so you can come here and you can experience the city with us so that you can better sell the destination to your customers. And this leads me first to our last survey for today's program. Would a fam trip be of interest to you and your clients? So I'm going to repeat the question. Would a fam trip, so a trip to Luxembourg, be of interest to you and your customers to get to know our destination better? Because online is one thing, and actually experiencing it live in person is quite another thing. So if you're unsure what to expect of a fam trip here in Luxembourg, well, we of course anticipated that, and we have followed such a fam trip with a camera, and the result you can see right now.
Mein Name ist Sebastian Redeker und ich bin der CEO von Luxembourg for Tourism. Wir sind die nationale touristische Promotionsagentur des Landes Luxemburg und kümmern uns in dem Sinne um die internationale Vermarktung unserer Destination in den Kernmärkten.
Ja, mein Name ist Svenja Siemsen. Ich repräsentiere den DMC bei Saales-Lenz. Saales-Lenz ist ein Familienunternehmen hier in Luxemburg mit einer über 80-jährigen Geschichte, und wir vertreten den kompletten Bereich von Mobilität, Tourismus und Events hier in Luxemburg. Der DMC bei Saales-Lenz und der LFT haben eine enge Kooperation. Wir sind auf das Angebot und die Produktvielfalt vom LFT angewiesen. Sie zeigen dem Kunden auf, welche Möglichkeiten das Land bietet, und wir packen es für den Kunden in ein Package zusammen mit Hotel, mit Transport, mit Aktivitäten hier in Luxemburg.
Gerade hier im Süden von Luxemburg bieten sich für mich jetzt, denke ich mal, viele neue Chancen für Angebote.
Und ich glaube, dass man das meinen Gästen auch sehr, sehr gut verkaufen kann. Es ist sehr kulturell, es ist sehr kulturlastig, was für meine Gäste besonders wichtig ist. Und man hat wirklich viel, was man denen weitergeben kann und was man ihnen wirklich auch schmackhaft machen kann, glaube ich.
Studienreisen sind für uns enorm wichtig. Für uns ist es wichtig, die Kunden zu kennen, die Reiseveranstalter zu kennen, die Luxemburg ins Programm aufnehmen möchten, die Luxemburg bereits im Programm haben, und zu wissen, welche Kunden, welche Klientel sie nach Luxemburg bringen möchten, welche Anforderungen sie haben, was genau sie brauchen.
Die Natur, denke ich. Gerade weil das Thema Aktivreisen immer wichtiger wird, generell, aber auch für meine Zielgruppe. Hier kann man sehr schön Rad fahren, gerade im Minet. Ich denke, gerade das ist spannend, weil das für jedermann. Ja, beim E-Bike muss man keine besonderen körperlichen Fähigkeiten vorweisen können, da kann jeder mitfahren.
Ein gutes Programm vor Ort lässt sich natürlich nur mit kompetenten und engagierten Partnern zusammenstellen. Und wir haben das Glück, dass wir in Luxemburg sehr viele Menschen haben, die im Bereich von beispielsweise Museen, aber auch eben touristischen Erfahrungen, von Wanderwegemanagement, unsere Hoteliers, Gastronomen, viele Menschen, die eben auch mit daran arbeiten, dass Luxemburg als Reisedestination immer attraktiver wird. Und diese Menschen binden wir natürlich ein, wenn es darum geht, eben Programme für Reiseprofis zusammenzustellen, damit diese wiederum ihren Kunden Luxemburg schmackhaft machen können. Wir sind überzeugt, dass der Tourismus in Luxemburg als Querschnittsbranche eben auch zu einer kulturellen und gesellschaftlichen Entwicklung beiträgt und dass vor allen Dingen auch gerade die Begegnung zwischen Einheimischen und Gästen ein wertvoller Beitrag dafür ist, dass eben ein Kernwert von Luxemburg, nämlich der europäische Gedanke, auch in Zukunft einen wirklichen Wert hat. In unserem Alltag begegnen wir immer wieder Menschen, die interessante Geschichten zu erzählen haben. Diese Geschichten erzählen wir unseren potenziellen Besuchern, beispielsweise in unserem Reisemagazin Luci, dem Magazin der Destination Luxemburg. Dabei stellen wir auch immer wieder fest, dass es eben hier nicht nur um touristisches Marketing geht, sondern es geht einfach auch darum, eben das, was das Land zu bieten hat, stark zu machen und immer wieder auch den Einheimischen neue Aspekte über Luxemburg zu liefern und sie teilweise auch wirklich zu überraschen. Das Luxemburg-Erlebnis lebt von Kontrasten. Und diese Kontraste sieht man auch im kulturellen Leben. Wir haben einen Kontrast zwischen städtischem Leben und dem Landleben. Wir haben einen Kontrast zwischen industriekulturellem Leben im Süden des Landes und der gastronomischen Kultur an der Mosel beispielsweise. Und aus diesen Kontrasten, die sich alle in kurzer Zeit sehr intensiv erleben und kombinieren lassen, ergibt sich das, was wir eben Luxemburg-Gefühl oder kurz gesagt auch Lucy-Gefühl nennen.
So now you've seen what a fam trip here in Luxembourg would look like, and I think it's a good timing to take a look at the results of our last survey, where we wanted to know if you would be interested to take a fam trip here in Luxembourg. And I think it's quite clear there is a big answer there. You would definitely be interested. There's over 90% of people who would love to come to Luxembourg and experience it in a fam trip, and I can't blame you for that. It's a beautiful country. So, as promised before, you can now win a relaxing stay in our wonderful Château d'Urspelt. I really hope you paid attention quite well, because the question might seem easy at the first sight, but it's not that easy. So here's our question. What's the name of the first legendary woman in Luxembourg? Is it the Grand Duchess Charlotte? Is it the Gullefra, the Golden Lady, or is it Melusina? I'm going to repeat the question. What's the name of the first legendary woman in Luxembourg? The Grand Duchess Charlotte, the Golden Lady, the Gullefra, which you've seen as well in the video before, and Melusina. And before we find out who the lucky winner is, we take some time now for our Q&A section. And actually, there have already been a few questions that popped in, as I hear. So the first question, I think, would be well directed to you, Luc. The first question is, how can you encourage a solo traveler, like I am, for example, myself, to participate in a group travel scheme?
Yeah, so check in your country for a tour operator who offer Luxembourg. So that will be the easiest way. But you can also come a solo travel, but it's interesting in group because the offer is very high, and also to visit the different part of it is easier, and to do it in group travel. We are DMC in Luxembourg, so we can plan the trip optimally for the whole group. We work together with all partners, some museum or with LFT, or also with regional offices of tourism. And yeah, we have an advantage that you have one contact person in Luxembourg who also offer one invoice for your whole program, and your group trip will be good.
So there's another question as well, and this one I think is for you, Isabelle. So they want to know whether you have any special activities that you recommend in the Guttland.
Yeah. Well, of course, we have like the classic guided tours, like taking a guided bus tour through the Valley of the Seven Castles. But what's a bit more special is our slow trips offers. Like we have developed some offers where the focus is really on having interactive activities where you get to know the locals and where you really get immersed in the local traditions. For example, we have a slow trip in Useldoorn Castle, where you can actually meet the Dollarmatti. The Dollarmatti was once a woman that lived in Useldoorn, and she emigrated to the United States. And before she left, she said, when I'm going to come back, I'm going to buy the castle. And in the end, when she returned, that's what happened. And so they called her Dollarmatti, which stands for anti-dollar. And when you do this tour, you really get to know her and hear a bit about her stories when she came back to Luxembourg and bought the castle.
Okay, as I heard, there are no more other questions so far, but please don't hesitate to contact us even after this program if you have any more questions. I'm just going to repeat and give you the email address one more time. That's trade@lft.lu. I'm going to repeat, trade@lft.lu. And as I said, don't hesitate, even if this program has finished. If anything pops up in your mind, just feel free to ask. And so now I'm gonna, present to people, I think, the solution to our quiz, and my guests already know it. So the solution to our quiz, the right answer to the question, what's the name of the first legendary woman in Luxembourg, is obviously Melusina. It's a love story between a mermaid and the Count Siegfried of Luxembourg. It's part of the country's founding legends. And now the winner is Sandra Verschuren. Sandra Verschuren, so you have been chosen as our winner. I congratulate you for a very relaxing stay here in Luxembourg at the Château d'Urspel. I hope you're going to enjoy it, and I'm actually quite sure you're going to enjoy it. It's really a lovely place to stay and spend some time, as we said, with hiking or combine it with a city trip. And I want to thank you out there for your interest in our lovely country, and I also want to thank my guests here, Boris Fuge of the Luxembourg City Museum, Luc Reis of Sightseeing.lu, and Isabelle Hermes of the Regional Tourism Office, Guttland. Thank you for enlightening us about your region, for helping us to present our beautiful country. And I hope to see you again here in the Grand Duchy. And up until then, as we Luxembourgers would say, Adi a merci.